Okay, so the garden established and growing, and now you're excited about the harvest that you'll have by the end of the summer. But what's this? What, pests? You got to worry about that?
Critters feeding on your plants that you work so hard to maintain. We Skyped with Bachman Thull from Bachman's to find out how to identify and control those garden pests.
Hey, Karen, look, we know people spend all spring working on those gardens for the summer. The worst thing that can happen, though, is you get done with your garden and then the pests start to invade it.
And now is that time. So we've done all this hard work and we are seeing beautiful color, beautiful foliage. But the bugs, slugs, moles, deers, and rabbit, they're out and they are ready to eat things. So we have solutions, though. And this is part of a gardener's delight and frustration at the same time, is protecting all of that hard work.
Okay, you have a lot of solutions here. Karen, where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, let's start with bugs. So last week we talked about Japanese beetles, and those can be quite destructive. But you're also dealing with thrips or aphids, and so you can see small bugs on your plants. And so you can work with sprays for that, or we sell lacewings and ladybugs, which are an organic solution. They're bugs themselves, but they devour the thrips and aphids. So that's a really good option as well. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know a lot of people, they may not necessarily have their yards fenced in, and that's when you have those deer start to come up, and those deer can get in plants too.
Yes, exactly. And I've heard a lot of rabbit damage this year, and I've heard deer damage. And the one thing about the deer and rabbits is that you're going to have to change your method several times during the garden season. And so we have something called liquid fence, plant skid. We also have repels all, both in spray and granular. So if you're working with taller plants or trees or shrubs, use a spray. Anything that's lower to the ground, use granular, and that will deter those pesky animals. And then, of course, on new trees, you can use a tree guard or burlap to protect that tender trunk.
Karen, what do slugs do?
Yeah, so with all the moisture that we've had this year, there is an increase in slugs. And so it's snails and slugs, and they will feed on things like hostas and your lower growing perennials. And you'll find damage that are holes, essentially like a lacy pattern that's eaten into your foliage. And while it doesn't do damage to the plant, it can be unsightly. And so Slug Magic and Sluggo are both great options. They're granular to put along the base of those plants where you can see them. And it will deter that damage from happening.
I love those names too, by the way. Sluggo and Slug. Those are great names.
I kind of want to get it just for the name.
Yeah, right?
I've seen a lot of people complain about their mold problem in their yard too. I'm in a Facebook group and a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, moles are a real problem this year.
They are, and it's again with the rain. So, you know, the moles are feeding on grubs that are in the lawn. And so they dig tunnels and they actually can do quite a bit of damage, and you can roll an ankle. So you always want to pay attention to what's happening in your lawn. And so there are options to mitigate the damage of moles. And that's with these products here. Otherwise, you can also use bait or traps as well. So now is the time to pay attention, because everything is out in full bloom, and that's when we notice some of those pesky critters around.
Right, and best bet, Karen, just if you go to a Bachman's or a garden center, just ask.
That's exactly right. You know, each of our stores have a horticulturalist at the customer service desk, so you can bring in pictures of your problem and say, what do I do? What do I do? How would it help? And they can direct you in the right area.
All right. Karen, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You bet.